Welcome. Today I head into London to do a side-by-side comparison test of two lenses. I wanted to compare the LEITZ HUGO lenses, which are cine lenses similar to the M0.8s, compared to kind of remake lenses, which are the Simera Cs. LEITZ cine lenses are crazy expensive, so it's nice that the Thypoch lens is a bit more affordable. The question is, can we tell the difference in this side-by-side test? All that coming up. Welcome, Matt here. If you're a new viewer, I quit corporate finance to follow my passion for Leica and photography, so feel free to hit subscribe if that's the sort of thing you're interested in. Now, to give you some background, you may know that Leica R lenses are popular to be remodded to use as cine lenses, as you can see here. R lenses have been popular for video since the first mirrorless cameras, but more recently, Leica converted their M lenses into cine lenses. So first the M0.8s, which are basically modded M lenses, such as this modded Summilux you see on eBay, and then more professional grade rehoused Leica M lenses. Now, if you've heard of the brand Thypoch Simera lenses are based on Leica Summilux lenses, and they also made a range of lenses in M-AT for rangefinder cameras. Thypoch then teamed up with their sister company DZO Film to make what we now have as the Simera C lenses. The same optics as the standard Simera lenses, but now rehoused to compete with LEITZ HUGO lenses. So with that, let's try and do a side-by-side test. So jumped on the train, headed into London. You can see here some Simera C footage on the train in. It was crazy busy, and what was said supposed to be a sunny day just turned into rain, so that was a bit of a disaster. If you ever visit London, definitely check out my friends at Aperture. Awesome guys, and they kindly put to one side a Leica lens that I could compare to the Simera C. Now sadly they didn't have any LEITZ HUGO lenses, as nowhere seemed to have in the whole of London that I could get. But as the optics are identical to a Leica Summilux FLE lens, we can just do side by side with the FLE, because same optics is going to give the same image quality. Obviously the size is slightly different, and it's got a few less aperture blades compared to the LEITZ HUGO version. So you see, firstly, more aperture blades, so this Thypoch potentially looks a bit sexier because of the extra blades. But what I wanted to do was side-by-side images rather than, say, video footage. It'd be easier to compare, and you can pause at any time. I wandered around the shop. I tried to do side-by-side shots, all photographs taken wide open. All photographs would be raw. And then I wanted to see if we did a blind test, can we tell the difference? So let's do that. So we've got lens A and lens B. I'll give you the answer in a second. Try to look carefully if you can see a difference between the lens A photos and the lens B photos. And then at the end, obviously, I'm going to tell you which one is the Thypoch lens and which one is the Leica lens. Obviously, there's a huge price difference, but basically the Thypoch lens is almost like a remake of the Leica optics. So it's very similar to the Leica Summilux formula, even though it's obviously a different shape lens and it's not designed to look exactly the same on the outside, but on the inside, the optical formula is similar. So it should give a very similar rendering. So I tried to do outside. The weather was absolutely rubbish, so I didn't take many photos outside, but I tried to do just a few to give an example. And we had a tiny glint of sunshine, so I tried to do a quick flare test to see how the flare compared between the two lenses, and obviously the bokeh as well. Here you can see the bokeh compared. They're both reasonably similar, wide open, so no complaints. I was thankful for a little bit of sunshine, so I could do this flare test. You can see the colour of the flare is similar from both lenses. Yeah, you should have a better idea now of which lens is which before I'm about to tell you the answer. Finally, a quick rendering test, both lenses side by side. First lens A and now lens B outside the aperture store. Okay, so which is which? Did you get it right? So lens A was the Summilux and lens B was the Thypoch, although they looked very similar in almost all images, I thought. Let me know in the comments what you thought. So after a quick cup of tea, thanks to Aperture for making me a cup of tea while I was doing my testing. The amount of stuff they've got in the shop is pretty amazing. So yeah, it's worth a visit. Not only the stuff upstairs, but also head downstairs. So while I was there's an exhibition on downstairs. So I took the camera down and had a quick look around and did a few photos. Here's RAW Plus preset. Just my Leica SL2S presets applied. And WJ Chan, I said I'd give him a shout out. So yeah, great images. Okay, let's now take a closer look at the LEITZ HUGO lens compared to the Simera C. Although I couldn't find a LEITZ HUGO lens to buy or rent for this video, the B&H website's got all the specs, so we can do a side-by-side comparison. The LEITZ lens weighs 810 grams and it's a 92mm front field thread, so it's a big guy with a close focus distance of 0.35 meters and 11 rounded aperture blades. In comparison, The Thypoch is only a 62mm filter thread. It focuses to 0.45 meters and has 16 aperture blades. It's an increase compared to the M1 and only weighs 381 grams. Now, there's not that much information online about Hugo lenses, but whatever you do find, you'll notice they're really expensive, where you can get a full kit of Simeras for only 3k. And then if you use the Black Friday offer, you get them even cheaper. So definitely check that out. Now, a bit more about Thypoch lenses if you're a regular viewer. So you've got the version 1 original Thypoch Simera lens, which had the focus stop for the 28mm and 35mm. They then did a version 2, which is similar to the look of this 50, which has got the modern focus tab and no focus lock. And then you've got the Simera C, which is like your third option, which is obviously the one we're looking at today, which has got the gearing on the side, but the same optics as the other ones. All three lenses are M-mount. The only difference is the Simera C have got more aperture blades to give you rounder bokeh at all aperture blades, but it's only like 2 extra. The other lenses are already excellent as they are. Here you can see how nice the bokeh is, like real world shot on my way back to the station last night. We had a little bit of sun come out. Now, in terms of gearing, you could get a gearing ring to attach to your standard M lens, but the lenses tend to be a bit short, I found, when trying to use it on my various cameras. That would give you the same setup as the Simera C, and that's what the M0.8 Leica lenses were. They just had the gearing ring compared to the remade Hugo lenses, which are more like the Simera Cs, which are kind of professional rehoused lenses rather than modded existing lenses, all with the same optics, obviously, as the original lenses that they're based on. Here's me using the gearing on my Lumix S9 with wireless follow focus. So that's what you use these gearing for if you've never seen this. See my other videos for that kind of stuff. So talking about these lenses, normally you'd obviously use your M-mount lenses, which are rangefinder coupled on your rangefinder camera, such as the Leica M7 film camera. Now, some cameras don't have a rangefinder, like MD2. So then it doesn't matter if your lens is rangefinder coupled or not. So because the Simera C lenses are not rangefinder coupled, I can use the Simera C lens on any Leica film camera, and as long as I've got a 35mm viewfinder, I can just zone focus and get exactly the same photos as using the standard M lens, which is the one you see on the right hand side. Now, what about digital? Now, digital is obviously a bit easier, because with digital, as long as it's like an M10 or after, you've got live view on the back of your camera, but you've also got your EVF option. So now you can just focus like you would with an SLR camera and focus via live view rather than the rangefinder. So again, you can use it on your, say, M10, M11. But for me, the best option is to use it on bigger cameras like the SL2S, as you can see here. It's just nice ergonomics, and yeah, it looks pretty good as well. If you then pair it with the Light Lens Lab close focus adapter, you can get this lens to maybe under 0.3 meters. So then you really get some nice kind of bokeh background. Now, another thing I wanted to show you was the Thypoch new adapters. So this allows you to adapt the M-mount lenses to any other mount. There's like 5 different mounts, I think. So here you can see me using the M to L adapter. It's really nicely made, actually. And then, unlike a normal adapter, this locks into place more like my PL adapter. You might have seen that in my 100 years of Leica road trip video, where I was using the Blazar Mantis lens with PL to L adapter. So yeah, great adapter. I can put a link below if you're interested, and as mentioned, it works with Nikon Z, Sony, Canon and Arri to M mount, as well as obviously L mount. Now, the best way to use cine lenses is, of course, when you've got sunshine and like really nice light. And it's funny, the lens that I use the most all summer for most of the videos I was recording for YouTube was actually the M-mount version of the Simera, the original Simera. So same optics as with the Simera C as we've been using in today's video, but I actually had sunshine, so I could really use it at its strength. So see my videos from over the summer to get an idea of how the rendering looks, but this is what it looks like on my Leica SL2S on a wet grey day in London. A big thanks to Aperture for supplying the Leica lens, and to Thypoch for sending their Simera C to make this video possible. Thanks as always to my amazing patrons.